UFC 300. These are the full card predictions and the betting breakdown. Main event, Alex Pereira versus Jamahal Hill. The card is absolutely stacked. This is a historic event, and I can't wait to talk about each of the matchups on it. So make sure you guys smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn the post notifications on and make sure to share the video as well. 30,000 subscribers was hit this past Saturday. Sincere thank you to you absolute savages. I'm excited for more. Also note, guys, full card fight companion for UFC 300 going down this Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Do not miss it. And let's get into the first fight on the card. It is Deiveson Figueiredo versus Cody Garbrandt. Easily a fight night main event. We get it here in the opening prelim. I'm picking Deiveson Figueiredo by knockout. I'm not sold on Cody Garbrandt being back to prime form. In all honesty, he took out two bums, Brian Kelleher and Trevin Jones. And he didn't even knock Trevin Jones out. Figueiredo put the work on Rob Font. And if you dig back, Rob Font beat up Cody Garbrandt and jabbed his face off for 5 rounds. I do think Garbrandt's past his prime. I don't think his durability is great. He'll always have good punching power. He's still pretty quick with his hands, but he's going to be hittable. He'll square up and throw bombs. And yeah, against guys like Brian Kelleher, that works. When you fight a former world champion like Deiveson Figueiredo, granted, both guys former world champs, but more recently, Figueiredo, who's a cleaner striker, a more tricky fighter overall, has very good leg kicks. Look at Cody Garbrandt not checking Kelleher's kicks to the calf. I think Figueiredo's going to do damage with those. Shots will open up on the feet, and I think he's KOing them. First or second round knockout is my pick for Deiveson Figueiredo. These two were actually supposed to fight at flyweight with Garbrandt dropping down to challenge for the belt. Cool that we get it booked at 300 here, but I think Cody No Love's going to bed. He's going to be shown no love by Figueiredo. Odds for the fight, Garbrandt plus 275, Figueiredo minus 310. Under 1.5 is plus 155. I like under 2 rounds. I know under 1.5 is a little worse there. We don't even have under 2, but fight ending in round 1 or 2 by knockout for Deiveson Figueiredo seems pretty damn likely to me. And if they tie up, Figueiredo's a good grappler. He's not going to be able to be out-wrestled by Garbrandt. I think Garbrandt forced to strike with Figgy, and I think he's getting knocked out. It's crazy that Figueiredo's 4 years older than Cody Garbrandt, where I feel like Cody Garbrandt's more removed from his prime than Figueiredo. I think Figgy's going to look good here in his sophomore bantamweight appearance. I think he's going to get an emphatic knockout and start off UFC 300 with an absolute bang. I cannot wait to watch these two scrap. Next fight on the card, we got Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. This one is very interesting because Jim Miller has been on a bit of a roll right now, right? 4-1 in his last 5 fights. But I just can't pick him over Bobby Green. I understand Jim Miller won at UFC 100. He won at UFC 200. But I'm not superstitious about these things here. At UFC 300, I think he loses a hard-fought decision to Bobby Green. He can have moments against Bobby, but I do think Green's got faster hands. He's going to be tricky to deal with a lot of movement. And I don't think Jim Miller's going to find the kill shot. I know a lot of people are going to write off Bobby because he got KO'd last time against Jalin Turner. But, bro, it's Jalin Turner. He's a high-tier contender. And I hate that Bobby Green always fights with his damn hands down, and that's why he's getting caught by big shots. With Jim Miller on the other side, though, he's going to be at a big disadvantage with the speed. It's going to be evident. I think Bobby Green is going to actually have to fend off some takedowns, and I think he'll be successful with his defense. And I think hard 3 rounds and a good back and forth. I'm going to say Bobby Green takes it on the judges' scorecards over Jim Miller. I tried my hardest to pick Jim Miller, and I respect Jim Miller's side. I know a lot of people are picking his side, but I just don't think he gets it over Bobby Green. I'm not going to write off Bobby because of 1 loss here. I do think he can beat Jim Miller. As far as the odds, Bobby Green minus 175, Miller plus 150 with an over rounds at minus 145. I think there's a real chance it's going over rounds. I know a lot of people are picking Jim Miller by knockout. They think Bobby's getting slept. Even though Bobby Green was knocked out against Jalin, I mean, he looked okay up until the KO. Granted, was getting outstruck. This Jared Gordon fight, it was a no contest because of the clash of heads. The Drew Dober fight, he was outboxing Dober until he got caught. Win over Ferguson, who was well past it, and Ferguson did drop him, and then a knockout over Grant Dawson. I get why Bobby Green's side is not an attractive side, especially betting-wise. Jim Miller's not a bad underdog. I'm not saying if you're on his side that you're guaranteed to lose, but I think Bobby Green gets it over the 3 rounds. The loss for Jim Miller that really stands out to me is Fluffy Hernandez. That's a bad loss. Fluffy. What am I saying, Fluffy? Alexander Hernandez. That's a bad loss, man. He just lost to Damon Jackson last week. You can see the wins here. I mean, an old Donald Cerrone, Nicholas Mota, who's mid, Jesse Butler, who's mid, and Gabe Benitez, who's mid. Bobby Green has been fighting better opposition. I got Bobby Green winning the fight. Let's keep on running up. Next fight on the card, we got Jessica Andrade versus Marina Rodriguez. I'm going to go against the grain and pick Marina Rodriguez. I actually think Jessica Andrade is falling off. I know she beat Mackenzie Dern by knockout, but Dern is not a good striker at all. And Andrade kind of looked in that fight. She squares up too much and gets wild. Her flurries are not effective as they once were. Marina Rodriguez is definitely the more schooled Muay Thai practitioner, especially against this version of Andrade. We saw Andrade drop 3 fights in a row. It was a loss to Blanchfield, which is fair. A loss to Xiaonan, who's fighting for the belt, fair, but was badly knocked out. And then Suarez destroyed her, win by submission. Obviously, the Dern win last time. On the side of Marina Rodriguez, she got an impressive dominant win over Michelle Watterson, which is expected. She lost to Verna Genjudova, who's a tricky grappler, and then a loss to Amanda Lemos. Lemos got some pop. She's a dangerous striker for sure. And Andrade does have a win over Lemos. She caught her with a standing arm triangle, but I felt like Lemos was outstriking her. Fight before that, she went to split decision with Yan Xiaonan. Makes sense that the odds are near even here. I just think even at 36, I know Marina Rodriguez is older than Jessica Andrade. Andrade has a lot more miles, and I feel like Andrade doesn't have the same game as she once did. Now, I'm going with the slight underdog. I'm not telling you bet the house on fucking Marina Rodriguez plus 115. Shout out to the Zin pouch as we pop it to the side. Andrade minus 135. Before watching any of their recent fights to refresh my memory, I was like, okay, I'm going to go Andrade. But looking at Andrade and Dern, I don't think she looked good. And then looking at Rodriguez's striking, she's more calculated. She can find good shots. I do think she's live to win this fight. I'm going to go Marina Rodriguez in the women's fight. Over 2.5 minus 165. It wouldn't be crazy if there was a finish. Andrade is going to throw caution to the wind. She could get caught by Marina. Marina's got legit knockout power. Both girls do here. Fun striking battle. I'm going with Marina Rodriguez for the upset win over the former champ. Next fight on the card, we got Jalin Turner versus Renato Moicano. I'm picking Jalin Turner. I'm sorry, Money Moicano. I tried to pick Money Moicano. I was trying to sell myself on it. I was like, okay, maybe he can get body lock trips. But Jalin Turner's takedown defense is good. He's extremely long. He's the quicker and more powerful striker. I think that Moicano's getting caught on the feet with Jalin Turner, and I do think he's going to get eliminated. I'm going Jalin Turner via KO. I think he's sleeping Moicano. He'll fend off, for the most part, the takedown attempts, and I don't think Moicano's going to be able to sub Jalin. We've never seen Jalin Turner lose by submission either. Moicano has okay Muay Thai, but it's not overly impressive. I think that Jalin Turner is a substantially better striker, and I think he has the grappling defense to keep Moicano striking with him, and I do think Money Moicano's going to end up getting chinned by Jalin Turner, who's an absolute freak at 6'3" at 155. Now, as far as the odds here, Moicano's a big underdog at plus 200, and then Jalin Turner minus 235, the favorite. Under 1.5, minus 115, that's a risk, man. I would rather under 2.5. I do think Jalin Turner finds the kill switch. We've seen Money Moicano knocked out before. His chin is not impenetrable. I think that Jalin Turner finds the kill switch, and I think Jalin Turner is going to knock Renato Moicano out here. He's coming off a nice win over Bobby Green where he dispatched him easy. Close fight with Dan Hooker. Close fight with Mateusz Gamrot. He's been in there with some of the best. Now, Jalin Turner doesn't have, a win over the best of the best, per se. Granted, on the side of Money Moicano, biggest W is this Drew Dober fight. At least biggest W in the UFC lightweight division. Had a loss to Dos Anjos. Isaiah Hernandez finish, Shai Herbert finish, guys that he'd be expected to beat. I think Jalin Turner is too much of a physical specimen, too much of an athlete, and he's got too much striking prowess. We're going with Jalin Turner. I think he's sleeping Money Moicano here. Sorry to Money Moicano. What's up, motherfuckers? It is what it is, bro. Next fight on the card, we got Sodiq Yusuff versus Diego Lopes. I'm going to pick Diego Lopes. I think Sodiq Yusuff needs to win this fight in the first round. When Diego Lopes finds his flow, he'll be so dangerous in all aspects. And I mean, even in the first round, Diego Lopes is incredibly dangerous. There's a big jiu-jitsu advantage for Diego Lopes. He's extremely creative on the mat, and he's super comfortable there. And alongside of that, he does have some knockout power in his hands. I would say Sodiq Yusuff is a more explosive boxer with more crisp power, especially starting fights. Like I said, round one, Yusuff was doing serious damage to Edson Barboza, and I get why people would be interested in maybe betting Sodiq Yusuff as an underdog. But Diego Lopes is a fighter they're specifically using to build right now. I mean, he's Brazilian, but obviously trains out of Mexico and coaches some of the top females in the world in grappling. I think that Diego Lopes is a special fighter right now on the come up. I'm actually going to say Diego Lopes to win by finish is making sense to me. I'm thinking Diego Lopes is live for a submission here. Yusuff's a good boxer. He's an athletic Muay Thai style striker. His movement's great. Takedown defense probably can hold up, but Lopes is pretty good off his back. Very slick grappling. Good power in his hands. And I think that stylistically, he's just a weird fight for Sodiq Yusuff. I mean, Diego Lopes on short notice almost beat Movsar Evloev. He went to a very competitive decision. I think Sodiq Yusuff is going to be a step behind Lopes, and I think Lopes can be the first guy to tap Yusuff in the UFC. As far as the odds, Lopes is a slight favorite at minus 145, Yusuff plus 125, and of course, we got an over-under 1.5. I don't even want to mess with the 1.5. I feel like, in my heart, I feel like it's going a little longer than 1.5 rounds, but with Diego Lopes and Yusuff, they'll clash in the first round. This fight could be quick. And I think Diego Lopes could take advantage of Sodiq Yusuff when they're dry, especially if he ties up with him on the ground and then locks in some type of submission. So we're going to go Diego Lopes. I'm going to pick him by submission. I think he can tap Sodiq Yusuff out. Especially, though, if we get in the second and third, I think Yusuff will slow down like he did with Edson. Granted, he went 5, but Edson is not nearly as dangerous in all areas as somebody like Diego Lopes. Next fight on the card, ladies going after it. It's Holm versus Kayla Harrison. Really interesting battle of the former PFL champion, Kayla, and a girl that was considered one of the best in the world, and judoka gold medalist, Holm, former boxing champ, and the woman that killed Ronda Rousey's hype. At 42, I just can't pick Holly. I'm going to go Kayla Harrison. Now, I worry about the weight cut for Kayla Harrison because she was previously fighting at 155. Her most recent fight was at 150. Now, she's got to cut all the way down to 135, and that could be a recipe for disaster. So if anybody's out there putting their life savings on Kayla Harrison, maybe rethink it a little bit, because the value is definitely on Holm, because these odds don't imply what the fight is. If Holm can remain on the feet, she can tee up Kayla Harrison. Holm also is known for good grappling defense, but I do think Kayla Harrison in the clinch has a big advantage, and I do expect her to land some key takedowns. I expect a hard fight. I expect 3 rounds. I expect Kayla Harrison on the judges' scorecards to pull through, but we have to worry about that weight cut to 135, so not interested in a betting side. This is a pure pick here. I'm going to say over 2.5, minus 150 makes more sense. Holm is not a crazy underdog at plus 360. I was talking to my brother earlier today, and I was asking him who he was picking, and he's going with Holm, and he's got some good underdog picks, and he has faith in Holm, you know, the distance striking, the clinch and grappling defense, the UFC experience. I don't know. The no contest with Bueno Silva wasn't a great look, but granted, maybe it was a little fluky. I think Kayla Harrison gets it on the cards. If she's still strong like she normally is, fighting at 55, now at 135, she's going to be a bitch to deal with for everybody in the UFC women's bantamweight division. So I'm going to pick Kayla Harrison for the win, but the odds are way too wide. Sit back and enjoy. Next fight on the card, we got Calvin Kattar versus Aljamain Sterling. I'm picking Calvin Kattar. He's got notoriously good takedown defense. He comes from a wrestling background, and he's a better boxer than Aljo. I think Aljamain Sterling's going to be trying to grapple hard all night. Remember, we're in the big cage. This ain't the apex, and I think that also favors Calvin Kattar because 2 step backwards, he's not against the cage. He's got a lot of movement, And I think you're going to see Calvin Kattar touch up Aljo with some good strikes. I do think Aljamain Sterling may time some takedowns here, but I think you'll be surprised at the get-up ability of Calvin Kattar. And I feel like Calvin Kattar lands some big punches. But I'll tell you this, Aljamain Sterling, I'm going to anticipate, has a better chin fighting here at 145 pounds than his previous bantamweight run. We've seen him knocked out a couple of times. We saw him knocked out most recently against Sean O'Malley. I don't know if Calvin Kattar finds the kill shot like O'Malley. He's not as crisp with his hands as O'Malley, but Calvin has good boxing for sure. And Aljamain on the other side, filling into a 145-pound frame, is going to be stronger, but specifically more durable. I think he can eat a big shot from Calvin Kattar. Looking at Calvin Kattar, we're in a weird spot because he got injured against Arnold Allen. Inconclusive finish. He lost a controversial decision to Josh Emmett. I thought that he won that fight. Before that, he beat Giga Chikadze, and prior to that, he got beaten up by legendary Max Holloway, who fights later on in this card. I think Calvin Kattar can pull off the upset here. I mean, Aljamain had a split decision win against Henry Cejudo, who's significantly smaller than Calvin Kattar. Fight before that, he beat up a one-armed TJ Dillashaw, split over Petr Yan before that, and obviously the DQ win over Yan. I think Calvin Kattar's getting it done. I think he's pulling off the upset here. I think he's being slept on completely by the books. Aljamain's minus 170. At open, he was just minus 105. There's been a lot of love on Aljo, and we don't know how he's going to look at 45. I think there's going to be a clear boxing level difference nonetheless. Plus 145 for Kattar. If Kattar comes back from the leg injury looking similar to how he left, I think he's en route to winning this fight. Picking a knockout is tricky here. I could see Kattar teeing off on Aljo and KOing him, but like I said, I have a feeling that Aljo is going to have improved durability up a weight class, so maybe decision is better. Over 2.5 minus 220. I'm just not all that intrigued by that over. If you're going on this fight betting side and you're seeing the Calvin Kattar side, I think that's who's getting his hand raised. I think he's a great underdog. I think he should be the favorite. I think the only reason Aljamain Sterling is the favorite here is because he's a former world champion. But this is at 145. Kattar's been out a bit, I know, but Kattar's always game as fuck. And he's not easy to take down. Calvin Kattar is notoriously good at takedown defense. And I think Aljo stuck on the feet could be in trouble. We might be witnessing a knockout here. So maybe you are sprinkling KO for Kattar. I'm going Kattar for the win. The Boston finisher. Representing Massachusetts. We're getting it done. Calvin Kattar for the upset. Next fight on the card, our featured prelim of the night. It's Jiří Procházka versus Alexander Rakic, and this fight makes me fucking furious because I'm picking Alexander Rakic, and I want to punch something. I don't like Alexander Rakic. I think he's a bit of an asshole, and he disrespected Jiří's samurai style on Twitter. But I can't base my pick on who I fucking like as a fan more. I just can't, because I'd be picking Jiří majority of the time. But when you look at Jiří Procházka's recent performances, dude, the striking is not as crisp as Rakic. The game is not as polished as Rakic, especially post-surgery shoulder surgery? Surgery on the shoulder? There we go. I'm trying to get the fucking words out of here. Jiří Procházka, he's not looking as good. I don't think he has the same torque in his shots. His hands are low. He's there to be hit. Rakic is a calculated kickboxer, and he can also mix in takedowns. He's a technically sound fighter. Alexander Rakic is really good, and he's en route to fighting for the belt. In the cage, I like Rakic's style. Some of the outside antics, I think he seems like a bit of a dick. But regardless, I don't care about how I feel as a fan. I'm picking the fight as an analyst straight down the line. I'm thinking that Alexander Rakic is en route to winning a unanimous decision, 30-27. He will avoid Jiří's dangerous overhand shots and chaos, and I think Rakic has successful moments. And it wouldn't blow my mind if Rakic rocks Procházka. And don't be shocked if you see Rakic take Procházka down and control a bit here. This is Alexander Rakic's fight now, guys. It sucks for Procházka. He's still a young guy. But I think he's going to take an L here to Rakic. And that sucks, man. And that absolutely sucks. Rakic for the win is the call. Fuck. Plus 115 for Procházka. Minus 135 for Rakic. I'm going against my samurai brother. Fuck. Over 2.5 is plus 125. I actually think there's a real chance this fight goes all 3 rounds. Rakic can be pretty technical and calculated. And Procházka is very durable normally. Rakic last time got badly injured against Yan. I think he was on his way to winning that fight. Obviously, last time Procházka got chinned by Pereira. I think Rakic is going to be cleaner on the feet. I think Rakic is going to mix in takedowns, and I think Rakic is going to get it on all cards. We're going Alexander Rakic to win a unanimous decision at UFC 300 against One of my favorite fighters, a fan favorite, Jiří Procházka. Fuck, man. Is what it is. Is what it is. We got to pick it as we see it. I'm picking Rakic here. I'm picking Rakic. Next fight on the card brings us to our main card opener. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. We got Bo Nickal versus Cody Brundage in a fight that shouldn't be on the main card. But of course, they're trying to build Bo Nickal. It's Bo Nickal all day. Do we really need to even break it down? I could skip to the next one. Cody Brundage is a tough journey, man. He had a DQ win over Jacob Malkoun, which aged real well because Malkoun's good. Win over Zach Reese, who turned out to be an absolute scrub and just pure jiu-jitsu. Before that, though, lost to Cedric Dumas in grappling. Bo Nickal's going to destroy him. Lost to Vieira by sub. Randy dropped Vieira. Impressive there. Oleg Jacek fucked him up. Expected. He did land a takedown on Oleg Jacek. Bo Nickal on the other side. Beat Val Woodburn, who's pretty shite. Jamie Pickett, who's at best. Donovan Beard, who's no longer even, or he was never in the UFC, but, was on Contender Series. I think Bo Nickal's on his way to winning. How does he get it done? I mean, inside distance. I think he could sub Cody Brundage. I do. I think Bo Nickal's going to look pretty solid here. Confident pick on Bo. Everybody's going to be on it, though. So, Bo Nickal's a minus 2,300 favorite with Cody Brundage at plus 1,100 as a fucking underdog. Holy shit. What's Nickal by sub? Minus 110? I'm going to call Nickal by sub, minus 110. KO's not crazy at plus 130, and you're not playing inside distance, are you? What is inside distance? Do we even have it? No, it's not up yet, is it? Am I blind? No, it's not up yet. Under 1.5, minus 300. I do think we're going under. Bo Nickal should win by finish. It's knockout or sub. I'm going to lean towards the side of calling it by submission because I think Bo Nickal might test Brundage on the ground a bit and show his more elite level of wrestling than Cody Brundage has. This should be a showcase fight for Bo. We know what the UFC is doing. They're harvesting the prospect, and they're looking to give him a showcase on the biggest card in the history of the sport, and that's why he's on the main card. And they didn't want to have him as the feature prelim because they'd rather have former champ Procházka, who's a fan favorite, versus Rakic, who's on the come up on the feature prelim. I get the bout, or I get why. It starts the card off, and you know what? It's not a bad fight to start the card off because it is an opportunity for Bo to destroy Brundage and then make a call for somebody that's actually good. Because that's what I want to see next for Bo Nickal if he's successful here, especially after a major spot on the biggest card of all time against Cody Brundage here. So, Bo Nickal, destruction. Next fight on the card, we got Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. It's too late to apologize. I'm sorry, okay? I'm sorry to everybody. I'm picking Arman Tsarukyan, man. I'm sorry, okay? I know you're upset. I'm upset. Charles Oliveira will struggle with Arman Tsarukyan's grappling. The willingness to follow Charles Oliveira to the ground is a way you beat him. You see, in fights, Charles Oliveira gets rocked. Opponents fear the grappling with him. Gaethje didn't want no part of it. Obviously, Poirier didn't either. Both of those two lost by rear naked. Arman Tsarukyan is a very confident wrestler, and he's going to be confident from top position. I don't think that Oliveira is tapping Tsarukyan from the bottom. Now, Charles Oliveira does have dangerous striking for sure, but he's also extremely hittable on the feet. And like I said, he falls to the back. He's willing to pull guard. He'll fall to his back, and Tsarukyan will follow up. I think Arman Tsarukyan can do damage from top position in this fight. I think Arman Tsarukyan might ground and pound stop Charles Oliveira in the second round. I'm going to go Arman Tsarukyan for the finish. Arman Tsarukyan is another one. I honestly don't like him that much. For whatever reason, I don't know why. He's probably a great guy. Maybe he comes on, does an interview, I'll change my opinion. Okay? But right now, I don't love him. But I love the fighting style. Calculated kickboxing, extremely good wrestling. Charles Oliveira is a fucking legend. I love Charles Oliveira, as does everybody. I remember when Charles Oliveira made his UFC debut. I remember when he fought Efrain Escudero, and I was a fan of him then. He's been at the highest of heights, and now he's taken on the guy that's shifting. It's the next generation, man. Oliveira's 34. I think Tsarukyan is too fast on the feet, too strong on the ground, and too willing to fall into Oliveira's strength. And Oliveira's strength gets negated by Tsarukyan's strength of top pressure and control and ground and pound. Look what he did to Joel Alvarez's face. Arman Tsarukyan for the finish. Fuck. Minus 225, Tsarukyan. Oliveira, plus 190. We're going with Tsarukyan. Under 2.5, minus 135. Tsarukyan by KO. TKO is the official pick, plus 120-ish for that. Arman Tsarukyan to beat the legendary Charles Oliveira. This is depressing, but this is how the game goes. I mean, Arman last time destroyed Dariush, as did Oliveira. The winner of this fight was promised a world title shot, but it might be Dustin Poirier now. I have no idea what the UFC is planning. Maybe we'll get some crazy announcement during 300. I'd like to. I think Arman Tsarukyan's on the come up nicely right now. As a fan, rooting for Charles Oliveira, but nonetheless, I have to pick it as I see it. I'm picking Arman Tsarukyan to finish him off, and, you know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I have a strong feeling that I'm not. Arman Tsarukyan for the finish. Fuck. Next fight on the card, featured bout of the night. We got Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway for the BMF belt, 5 rounds. I'm picking Max Holloway. You guys are going to say, you're crazy, bro. Early pick, you pick Gaethje. Yeah, I changed my mind when I looked into it. I watched Gaethje's boxing in his past couple, and I was like, okay, Justin Gaethje's not the smoothest with his hands. Max Holloway's going to have some speed on the feet. He can pop him with good straight shots. Gaethje gets hit a decent amount. He's not going to mix in takedowns. Max Holloway's not an easy guy to chop down with the kicks. I think Gaethje has very good leg kicks, but I'm assuming Max Holloway's going to be extremely prepared. And then also, take into consideration, we have a Max Holloway who's filling into a 155-pound frame the right way this time. This could be the best version of Max Holloway ever. And he's also sparring again, which he hasn't done for a long time. So it shows me this fight he's taking more serious than any fight as of recent years. I think we could get the best version of Max Holloway ever at 32 years of age at 155 pounds against Justin Gaethje, who, let's be fair, is not a large guy for 155. If he chose to cut weight, he's getting down to 45. There's not a size difference between these two. It's just Gaethje fights at 55. But these two are similar size, but maybe Max Holloway is slightly bigger than Justin Gaethje when he fills his frame with a bit more muscle. Maybe he also has a bit more power. I'm also thinking of a fight going into the later stages. I think Holloway's speed comes into play, especially later. I think Max Holloway's going to get his hand raised. I think I'm going to go Max Holloway by decision. 5-round war where both guys are tested. Max Holloway is destined to win the BMF belt. I got that feeling as soon as I started watching some recent fights, but also just in my gut of guts. Right in here, I'm like, Max Holloway is a BMF. Nobody's ever defended the BMF belt. And I think Max Holloway takes it from Justin Gaethje in what's going to be a legendary fight. It makes perfect sense that Holloway moves up to 55 and beats Gaethje. And also, when you look, Gaethje knocked out Poirier with a sick head kick. Absolutely. Absolutely. But he was getting touched up a little bit in the first round. It was close. Max Holloway's a lot faster. Max Holloway's chin is fucking iron, and he's not getting head kick knocked out. It's not happening. Max Holloway for the upset. I'm feeling it inside. I'm on the Max Holloway side. I don't think Gaethje's dusting him. Plus 150 for Max Holloway. Minus 175 for Justin Gaethje. Give me Holloway. Give me Holloway for the upset. Over 2.5, minus 240. I love that. I love the over 2.5. I promise you guys it's going over. And Max Holloway to win via decision, the official pick, plus 275. Better off just straight, money line, the underdog, but have to mention it. Holloway by knockout, plus 900. Can you imagine if he knocked out Gaethje? That'd be crazy. I have a feeling this is the best version of Max Holloway yet. I got this inkling. I do. A strong inkling. And even just based upon recent performances for Holloway, I think he picks shots extremely well. I think he's got a boxing speed advantage. I think he's the better boxer between him and Gaethje. I think Gaethje's going to have a hard time landing those wide, wild shots on a guy as fine-tuned as Max Holloway. And I don't think the calf kick's going to kill Max. I think he's going to be prepared for it. We're going Max Holloway for the upset and new BMF champion, and Max Holloway does it. Goes down as one of the all-time greats. I mean, he already set in stone to be a Hall of Famer. This just adds to the legendary legacy. Max Holloway for the win. I can't wait. I can't wait. I changed my mind, man. Digging into it, I tell you the truth. That's why early leans are bullshit. It's all the official leans. That's why you watch this show right here. Holloway for the upset win. Next fight, co-main event of the evening. We got Weili Zhang versus Yan Xiaonan. I'm going with Weili Zhang. I think that Yan Xiaonan has scary striking, and she's actually pretty intimidating overall. Serious power in her hands. But I will never forget Carla Esparza absolutely exposing her on the ground. You can say, oh, but she's probably gotten better than there. Yeah, sure. She's gotten better, but how much better? Good enough to stop Weili from putting her on her back? I don't really think so. I think Weili Zhang is going to be exceptional with takedown timing. And you have a battle of China versus China, too. There's a fuckload at stake here. I think Weili represents the country. I think it's cool that you got two Chinese top contender and then the Chinese champion in the UFC. Never been done before. Weili Zhang's special, man. She's going to be on point with takedowns. I will say Yan Xiaonan is a heavier puncher, but I don't think that Weili's going to sit in the pocket to get caught with something stupid. You look at Yan Xiaonan, lost to Carla a long time ago now, 3 years back. Lost to Rodriguez. I thought that was controversial, though, to be fair. Mackenzie Dern win. It was competitive. And then Jessica Andrade knockout. Fucking Andrade, holy shit, just walks into a bomb. Kind of a reason I'm picking against Andrade. Low fight IQ these days. Weili, win over Lemos. Good fight, clean win. Lemos is dangerous with the chokes. Beat Carla Esparza by sub. And then Joanna Jędrzejczyk by knockout. I'm kind of thinking Weili might strangle Yan or finish her with ground and pound. I'm going Weili. She could win a decision and get it in all rounds, but inside distance is kind of whispering at me. Minus 500 Weili, Xiaonan plus 375. I mean, right now, we don't have all the props available. We got Zhang to win, KO plus 140, submission plus 550. Plus 550 for sub? That's too damn wide. She submitted Carla Esparza, who destroyed Yan Xiaonan on the ground. I don't think it's crazy to pick Weili by submission, especially at that big of plus money. Now, money line is minus 500. If it was minus 420, I'd say blaze it up and play it. But unfortunately, it's minus 500 now. It's spread a little wider. Weili's going to win this fight. I really believe so. I'm curious if we ever get a trilogy between Weili and Thug Rose. I don't know. I'm interested. Let me know, guys. Are you interested in that still? I want to see it again. I want to see the third fight. Yan Xiaonan's a great challenger, and she's a really good striker. But overall, well-rounded game, it favors Weili substantially. Weili Zhang is on her way to win. And I do think she's going to get a finish. We'll go out on a whim and lean towards submission. But, method of victory here, a decision wouldn't blow my mind. It's just the fact that we saw Xiaonan bullied on the ground by Carla, then we saw what Weili did to Carla, it kind of tells me, okay, even though, MMA math doesn't work. It's not MMA math. It's just me thinking with my fucking head. Weili Zhang's live for a sub. Weili Zhang for the finish. Let's jump to our UFC 300 main event of the evening. If you guys haven't yet, make sure you smash the likes. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We got Alex Pereira versus Jamahal Hill. The pick for the UFC 300 main event is going to be Alex Pereira. Poatan to win. Why am I picking him? Because I think the calf kick is going to be a substantial factor, and I also believe in the check left hook, especially against Jamahal Hill, who has a habit of dropping that rear hand and coming in with big shots. There's going to be a counter very available for Alex Pereira. Also note, Jamahal Hill is not known for offensive wrestling, and he said that he plans on striking here. And let's talk about a little bit of a yellow flag with Jamahal Hill. Ruptured Achilles, which he wasn't supposed to be recovered from until the summertime. I thought we weren't seeing him until International Fight Week, but he gets the call for 300 main event, and I think he's cutting that recovery a little short to take on Alex Pereira. Jamahal Hill's also flat-footed, and he puts a lot of pressure on that lead foot, and I'm telling you, Alex Pereira is going to drop some heat. Now, Jamahal Hill has good length. Jamahal Hill, comfortable from southpaw, long, switches stance too. I think that Alex Pereira finds some clean shots on him. Some very clean shots on him. I think he'll attack the legs, but I'm not saying him attacking the legs is the only way to win this fight. As you can say, but if he's in southpaw, he's not going to get hit with the calf kick the same way. He doesn't necessarily need to just calf kick him to land. I think Jamahal Hill is going to come inside throwing big shots, and Pereira will find nice counters. There's body kicks that could land too. I think Pereira is going to control the distance well, and I also think he's going to control the center of the cage well. And I think Jamahal Hill gets a little wild. Jamahal Hill's hands come down a bit as he's closing the gap. Now, you can say, but Pereira drops his hands at moments too. Fair point. Jamahal Hill went 5 rounds with Glover. He gave him everything and couldn't knock him out. Alex Pereira moving up from 185 to 205 has not shown any bit of issues with the chin anymore. If you thought there was issues maybe at 185, it's because he was cutting his damn life away to get down to 85. At 205, the chin's going to hold, baby. The chin's going to hold up, and Pereira's going to knock Jamahal Hill out in the UFC 300 main event. Last time out, Pereira slept Jiří Procházka. Beautiful left hook. That's his money shot. Fight before that, split over Jan Blachowicz, and that was his debut in the UFC light heavyweight division, and Blachowicz just tried to chain wrestle him. Jamahal Hill last time beat Glover, the mentor and head coach of Alex Pereira and best friend of Pereira. There's vengeance on his mind. And he just did it last time with Procházka, too. Fight before that, win over Thiago Santos. It took 4 rounds. Johnny Walker KO, which was impressive. Jimmy Crute KO. Well, Jimmy Crute's not all that good. And then Paul Craig sub. But this is a striking match. Alex Pereira is en route to knocking Jamahal Hill out, defending the belt, and capping off the biggest card in UFC history with a highlight reel KO. Minus 124 for Alex Pereira. Jamahal Hill, plus 104. I got Poatan. Under 2.5, minus 165. I'm feeling under 2.5. Pereira to win by knockout, my official pick, plus 110. Odds are very close, as they should be between these two, because it's a savage fight. But I really do believe Alex Pereira is en route to defending the belt. I think he's sleeping Jamahal Hill. Watch for the check hook. Watch for the kicking skills to the lower half especially, but even body kicks could be a factor. And I think Jamahal Hill's going to get caught in some exchanges a bit. You're not going to be able to bulldoze and bully Alex Pereira, and Jamahal Hill's not going to be able to box Alex Pereira's face off with that peppering jab. As he's throwing those peppering jabs, there's option for shots over the top, and Pereira has the death punch. We're going Alex Pereira and still champion, the winner of the UFC 300 mega card, the biggest card in UFC history. And I absolutely can't wait, guys. I'm stoked as hell, if you couldn't tell. I think that many of you know. Hope you enjoyed the breakdown. Make sure you smash the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Just hit 30,000 subs, so a thank you to you savages supporting. Content every single day this week for UFC 300. You don't want to miss a thing, so keep it locked in right here. So turn the post notifications on. Don't just leave them on personalized. Put them on all so you don't miss a video. Thank you guys all so much. Let me know in the comments what you thought of the breakdown and what some of your favorite picks on the card are. And if you got nothing to say, but just enjoy the content, as always, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Thank you guys for tuning in. UFC 300 coming very soon. Peace, guys.